Hello friends, I'm so glad that you are here today because I went through this stash again. You remember this stash we went through last week? Well, I went through it again and found some more items that I want to make over. Make them vintage modern, Antage modern. Remember our word Antage? If you haven't seen last week's video, go watch that video. I highly recommend it. But for this week, let's get crafting.
I picked up this very unique smasher off of Whatnot last year, and it's just been sitting in my stash. Look at that chippiness, but there wasn't quite enough color. We're just going to make it over. We're going to make it look vintage, but we're going to make it better. So I took my scraper and some sandpaper and got all that old paint off and made it smooth and just get it ready for a coat of paint. I'm going to just take my little piece of t-shirt and get all the dust and the crumbs off and then tape off the handle so I don't get any paint on that handle. And then I'm going to take, there we go, JRV Cottage Color in Crockery. And this has a built-in sealer. Let me talk Texan to you. And I'm just going to give it, I think I gave it 2 coats, maybe just one. The paint went on so nice and smooth because I prepped my surface properly. Aren't y'all proud of me? Gave it a thumbs up. So we're going to let this dry, and then I'm going to get out the Sweet Pickins milk paint. And now I don't really mix this, like you're supposed to. So I did, you're supposed to do equal parts of water and paint. Well, I did 2 scoops of water. So I had to go back in and add more. Had to dry off my spoon and then add more powder. Then we're just going to go ahead and mix it up really, really good. Make sure it's all incorporated. Then we're going to give it some time. Let it sit up. Just sit it over to the side. And then once it's set up, we're going to go in and give this 2 coats. I gave it 2 coats. I let it dry in between the 2 coats thoroughly. In fact, I like to use my heat gun to dry it a little bit. It kind of forces the crackle a little bit. And so, yeah, that's what I did. I gave it 1 coat and then dried it down a little bit with my heat gun. Gave it another coat. I like to store my paintbrush in a little Ziploc bag. It keeps it from drying out. Then I don't have to wash my paintbrushes so much because I love to wash paintbrushes. Said no creator ever. Okay, so second coat and then dry it down really good. And I hold the heat gun a little bit close to it, not too close, but that helps you get that beautiful crackle. I don't know if you can really see it on your screen really good, but it looks good on my screen. Then I'm going to take this sanding block. It's an 80 grit, and I'm just going to, I'm not pushing really hard, and it's one of those really flexible ones, so I can make it go around that rounded surface, see? And I'm trying to kind of go where when you hold it, your hand would naturally rub the paint off. Then I'm going to grab my t-shirt and just get all the little crumbs off and just look how beautiful that crackle is. I mean, it looks like it's been used. Now I'm going to take the clear wax by Dixie Belle and I'm just going to use the t-shirt today so that I can do that right there. Just spin it around on there. And this turns out so beautiful. It really does. And then for some reason, I decided I wanted to use this Dixie Belle Van Dyke Brown. I just purchased this, and it's a glaze. And so I decided to put it on over the wax so that it wouldn't be too dark. And it really was a little bit dark, but I really do like how this turned out. Just look how beautiful and old it looks. And the next thing is so simple. I'm just going to take this little piece of ribbon. If you've been watching me very long at all, or if you've been watching me a long time, you know I've been using this ribbon for a very long time. I've had this for about 3 years, and I've just been using it. I got it at Sam's Club. I just bought some more ribbon at Sam's Club this spring season. It's a great place to buy ribbon. And I'm just going to take a few little sprigs of this greenery and pop it in there. I'm also going to try to make one of those little flowers. Now, I used to be able to make these really good. I do not know what has happened to me. But anyway, you just make a little cone shape. And then you just start. I probably should have taken the ribbon off of the roll. I mean, I've been using this ribbon like crazy, and look how much is still on that roll. Okay, so you just twist and fold and twist and fold it down and twist and fold as you go around. I'm going to make a tutorial on this one of these days, just a separate little video tutorial and with some good ribbon. This is really good ribbon to do it with. Um, I just was, I don't know what was wrong with me. I should have just, but I'm always afraid I'm not going to know how much ribbon I'm going to actually need to make it. Anyway, I just wanted a little flat rose looking flower. So I just smushed that down and glued it down. And then I decided to put some more little pieces of that greenery behind the flower. And I think it turned out very just simple, neutral, country Antage. Let me know what you think about this one. This beautiful silver spaghetti scoop has been in my stash for a long time. I did not record any of this, or else I lost the footage somewhere. But I just tied that bow on there. I made a bow and I tied it on. I didn't want to glue anything to it. And then I just poked those little flowers down in there. I did glue the flowers to the bow. So when you get ready to take it off, you just undo that little piece of cotton twine there and just take it off. And I think it turned out super cute. It was super easy and it would be very cute in a little vignette. Here is another type of masher that I had in my stash. You'll have to let me know if you've ever seen a masher like this. I had never seen one. Again, I got it on Whatnot. I'm going to just sand some of that shine off of the handle. And again, these flexible sponge sanders are so handy. Now, it was twice as big as this, and I cut them in half. You can cut them down with your regular scissors. They're so handy. I'm going to have them linked in my Amazon storefront if you want to go and check them out. Then I'm just going to take, I think this is vintage linen, and I'm just taking a white paint and painting it. I did tape off the handle, so I didn't have to be so careful. I can be a messy painter. I'm going to give it some time and let it dry. Once it's dry, we're going to do the school glue crackle. And I'm telling you, I'm going to put the school glue mostly where we would have the worn part from our hand, just like I did in that previous one. But I'm going to put the school glue all over, but I'm going to put it thicker where your hand would be if you were using it. So I applied the school glue all over, but I did it thicker in the areas that I wanted more crackle or thicker crackle. We're going to give that some time and we're going to let that glue dry. Now it's dry. And I'm really liking this method a little better because you don't have to be quite so careful about when you go to paint, because see, I'm painting and I have a little bit more time in case I need to go back over my strokes. Not much, but a little bit, because it does start to crackle really quickly. But I do feel like you have a little bit more time, and the crackle might not be quite as thick as it is when you do it wet, but I did get some really beautiful crackle you can see there already. And then again, I'm going to take a little sanding sponge and I'm going to really lightly sand. Now, it did, when I started sanding, that glue was a little rubbery under there, you know, like the school glue would be. Um, and same with Mod Podge. And so I was real careful about sanding. So I just sanded a little bit, buffed it back a little bit, and I just kept working at it till I got it where how I wanted it. And I wanted to sand all the way down to the wood in a little bit right there. So I just kept sanding and going until I got it down to the wood. And same with that where my thumb would have been if I would have been using it as a masher. So then I got it where I wanted it. And then I took the oil wax by Sweet Pickins, which I've told you already, it's not my favorite, but I'm learning to, it's growing on me. Let me say that. And I have it, so I'm going to use it. We're not going to waste it. So I'm applying it with a cloth, and then I'm going to let it sit for about 5 to 10 minutes. And then I'm going to go back and wipe off the excess so that it doesn't stay oily, because it does not dry. You have to wipe off that excess. And then like DIY paint does, it just kind of wipes some of it back, which helped to distress it a little bit even more. So I pulled out all these little ribbons out of my stash and just trying to decide what I wanted to do. I really wanted to use that chiffon ribbon. You know I did. But I did not. I used this this ribbon came from Hobby Lobby, and it's kind of a canvas ribbon. It kind of feels a little bit like canvas. So I decided to just make some long tails, leave some long tails on it, cut those off, and then just made a little simple 2-loop bow. I didn't need tails on it because I already had those 2 tails hanging down long. And then I just glued it in the center there, like you see me doing. And then I just took a piece of this crocheted ribbon, which I love, and a twine bow. I know what that stuff is called. It's called twine. And then I just bunched that lace up in the middle and glued it down, and then glued the twine bow in the center, and trimmed everything up where everything was somewhat even to the eye. I don't measure anything. We just make it look good to the eye. And this is how it turned out. This little bamboo recipe box is neither vintage, antique, or antage, but I'm making this as a wedding gift, and I wanted to include it in this video. And so we're gonna put it in here. I'm just showing you that it came with these little cards. It did come from Amazon. I'm making it as a wedding gift. So I'm gonna get out the IOD Transfer Home Sweet Home booklet, and it has a lot of good transfers for the kitchen. And I'm going to just use this one, and I'm going to cut out the word recipes. I really hated to cut up this one, but I just needed the word recipes. I almost made it on the Cricut, but I really liked how this looked a little distressed. And I'm going to save this because I can use that outline for something, and I can use the word baking. I could use those other words for something else. So I'm going to just put this on the end right there, and it's going to be adorable. And then I'm going to use some other transfers up on top. And yeah, this just transfers really easy on this bamboo because it's nice and smooth. And just like that, you just rub and peel, and transfers are so easy to use. Just burnish it down, make sure it's all down, or wipe it with my little t-shirt. And then I'm going to use the Clementine transfer booklet, and that came out at Christmas, but these are definitely not Christmas images in my opinion. I think this beautiful floral is going to be really pretty. I asked my 20-year-old granddaughter Desi if this looked like an old woman recipe box, because the girl that I'm giving it to is about her age. I think Jocelyn may be 20 or 21, and so she doesn't watch my videos, so we don't have to worry about her hearing that I'm giving this to her as a gift. So I'm just going to rub this transfer down, and I always struggle a little bit with the really little intricate pieces around, especially around the edges. So I just keep rubbing until they transfer down, and then just keep lifting up. And it is so worth any effort that it takes. And then just burnish it down. And this is so gorgeous. so gorgeous. These colors are so rich, and I don't really even know what her colors are going to be in her kitchen. She can put this recipe box in her pantry in a cabinet, but she'll know when she gets it out to find handwritten recipes inside that I intend to write. That I handmade this for her, and it'll be hopefully something special. I am not positive just how old this rolling pin is, but it had those metal buttons on the end of it, and I covered it with some tape and the end of it with some tape, like you see there. And then I painted the handles with some chalk paint in the color black. I think this is probably vintage. I'm not quite sure, but I don't know. You can let me know in the comments if you know. But it's old, regardless. It's old. I'm going to take these roll-on transfers from the TDS Creative website. That's Brandy over at the DIY Struggle, and it is an ode to toile, and they are beautiful. They are black and white and with some shades of gray, and her transfers rub on so easy, and they're so affordable. Her website is always linked in every one of my videos in the description box, so head on over to her website. She has napkins and decoupage paper, paintbrushes, all kinds of goodies over there. And so go over there and check her out and show her some support. Now, I'm just rubbing it on, rubbing it on. Curved surfaces sometimes can be challenging and sometimes they're easy. Sometimes I find a curved surface a little bit easier actually to do a roll and transfer with. This had some of those tiny little intricate pieces I was talking about. But I also find her transfers easier to burnish with my hand or a soft t-shirt scrap. In case you're new here, and if you are, welcome. I'm glad that you are here. If you came to my channel from one of the other channels from the playlist, welcome. I like to use old t-shirts that I cut up into little squares to buff and apply wax. So I'm going to wax with some clear wax over the transfer and the handles and all over the whole piece actually, but concentrating on the transfer to seal it in and the handles to seal in that chalk paint. And this turns out really, really pretty. I really like how this turned out. I'm also going to grab some chiffon ribbon. We cannot have a late night creations video without some chiffon ribbon, my friends. I did sand, I was talking, but you saw me sand those handles a little bit just to make it look a little Antage. And yeah, in case you missed the video, I had a slip of the tongue. I was trying to say vintage or antique, and I said the word Antage. So we've just sort of coined that word around here as a mix between vintage or antique. And if we're not sure if it's one or the other, we are just going to say Antage. So feel free to use that word anytime you want. So I'm going to take this beautiful piece of black chiffon ribbon and just tie it on the end like you see me doing there. And then I'm going to take a white piece and another little piece of black scrap, I believe. Or maybe it's, yeah, there we go. And then another little piece of white scrap that I had cut in half from a previous project. And then I'm just going to use that long piece to tie those in place, double knot it, cut off those long pieces to match the pieces that I tied in, and this project is complete. Okay, friends, I am totally in love with this aluminum vintage cake taker. I love it. It totally reminds me of my childhood. And look how worn that black paint is, that little plastic handle that says West Bend on it. You can still see some of that cake image on the side. It's so good. And I'm going to use that transfer book again from IOD, and look at those. I'm not going to show you how I put them on because you already saw me how to do the transfers, and it was kind of hard to get it on camera. But I'm also going to take a piece of black gingham ribbon, tie a bow on it, and this was a simple but adorable DIY.
That's all I have for you today. Thank you for watching. Let me know down in the comments which was your favorite, if you had a favorite. This, I think, may be my favorite, this little square masher. I think it turned out so cute, and the little candle in here is just next level, right? I just think it's so cute for a kitchen or any kind of vignette. I have a little Antage room, and I think it would be so cute on a shelf in a little vignette with some books. But let me know which one is your favorite. And don't forget to leave a comment down below. Thumbs up. Make sure you're subscribed. But most of all, I want you to remember to be still and know that He is God.